sliding scales just a little bit more. Can't show too much. Gotta hang on. Howdy, howdy. So I did this mold before and wasn't real happy with how it came out. I did a dry painting on this. But the problem is that since I sprinkled the color all over, and I think I picked tones out that were very similar, the end result, and even though I tried to rub on a little bit of color after it came out of the mold, it still kind of gave it too much of a monotone. There wasn't enough contrast for me. And here's an example of the piece. And granted, I've already put it into, I cut it out when it was nice and soft. See, right now it's hard as a rock. It's been about a good week and it's really hard to bend. And do not try and cut these with a pair of scissors when they're, you know, at this kind of hard stage, because you can get hurt. So you got to be really, really careful about how you cut these things. So I always do it when it first comes out of the mold and it's super flexible and it's easy to manipulate. But if you've noticed, let's see if I can get it to focus, it's kind of almost a one-tone thing. It's a very medium, like medium reddish brown color, and not that happy with it. So I'm going to try this again and see if I can add another layer or something to my pan to kind of give it a little bit of definition. So we're going to do something a little bit different here. Let's see if I can get it to focus down there. There we go. And I'm going to use my fingers. But the first part I'm going to do is I'm going to get, this is probably one of the darker purples that I own. And I'm going to go back and forth between this color and this color. And I'm actually going to rub it in. Okay, and this is the highest point. We'll get the color on it. And so the highest point is the lowest point on this. So that will mean that it goes really into those cracks and crevices of the scales, like down in the shadows and stuff. So I'm hoping to get the darker tones there and then have the lighter tones on the top of the scales. So that's the plan. So we're still going to do some red tones, but we're going to do the deep purple in there to kind of help bring in some shadow. So I'm going to first apply this and then go back over it with some of the gypsy red. And then the last color, believe it or not, is going to be a really bright yellow, sunshine yellow. So, and I might hit it with some little spots of gold. So that'll be more of an accent kind of thing. So a little bit different than I normally do. And we're going to go, in fact, I might even go and very carefully put some in the lid. Like so. And that's just to make it easier for me to put my big fingers in here and rub it in. So really technical stuff here. Let's see if it actually will stick. And it does. So, and I'm going to get little speckles that drop down, and that's okay. However, that looks like a little chunk of resin or something, like old resin from my table. So you see how you're getting a little bit of dark on there, and that's what I want. I want some definition to the scales. We don't want the scales to disappear completely, and having contrast makes things a lot more interesting, especially when you want them to be interesting. And I'm going to get some areas there that are going to be darker, and that's okay. That will also bring in some unique qualities too. Because, like, you know, you have a strand of hair that might be a little bit lighter than another strand, that kind of thing. I'm trying not to go too much in lines, vary my direction a little bit, so that way I'm not creating a double pattern here, because it's already you know, everything is already kind of in rows as it is. This is working out pretty good here. And just keep on rubbing and applying until you get the color that you want, meaning like however dark you want in this case. Now I'm just going for a little bit more. And then I'll start picking up the red and it'll start filling in some more of the gaps of the highlight points right here. You can see there's quite a bit of purple on my finger there. It's a really pretty deep purple. So I'm gonna flip this over here. That way my excess is over in the other zone and not contaminating this zone. Okay. I'm gonna put that in the bottle when I'm done with this. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing with this red color. This is the gypsy red. I'll use a different finger. See that? It's really pretty coppery red. So I'm still hitting the highlight or the high points of the mold with this. And then the combination of the deep purple and this red will get into those shadows. Oops. It's sprinkled. That's okay. If I don't rub the areas that went in really deep, it'll just stay loose. And when I flip it over to tap all the stuff out, it should just fall out. And I'm gonna do that with this red as well. So that way, any of the next color that falls in will be the highlight colors. And if I rub those in, it'll be just highlights only. All right. I think I got enough dark color in my shadows right now. So I'm get rid of my gloves, or my glove. Okay, so we've got some areas. Let me bring this up a little bit more. So when you're looking at the overall thing, it looks like there's still a lot of white. Let's see, if you see it from this angle, you can see the colors of the peaks colored in. And those, remember, are the shadows of my mold. So now the white areas here are where I'm gonna put the contrasting color, which will be the bright yellow. And then at the end, I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of the gold to get any other kind of I guess the gold act is more of a highlight or an accent point too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to tap this in, and if I remember right, it's a fairly light color, meaning a fairly light mica, and it kind of gives a little no, it's not as glittery as I thought it was going to be, but it does have a nice shimmer to it. So excuse my nail tapping. Some people like that, some people don't. But it's the best way to get it out. And not to worry, all the stuff that I'm tapping out, or when I tap the mold out later, I just end up sticking it in a cup, and when I have any leftover resin, I'll mix it into the leftover resin, meaning like some clear stuff, and I'll put that into a mold. Okay, so I've got my silicone brush. It's a chisel point, and you can get these at most art supplies. And I'm going to go in and basically smush down and push in. So I'm going to be pushing it into the crevices of this particular mold. So right now it looks like a hot mess. And hopefully that will change. What I'll do is I'll scoop up some with this guy and place it into areas that I don't think got hit with very much mica. Actually, you know what? I might actually do this. I'm gonna tap it around and move it around. Make sure everything has got something. Might help a bit. So far I need some over here. Okay, so I'm gonna continue pushing this in all over, and I am literally just smushing it in. So I'm gonna fast forward in this area, so that's my signal. Okay. Okay, so yeah, you can see by my folding and stuff like that, I kind of made a mess, but oh well, that's all right. All right, I'm gonna bring this in a little bit closer. Hopefully it'll focus nicely. All right, so you can see how there's a lot more gold in there, and you can see some highlights of definitely gold spots and darker areas. I'm gonna get some stills and I'm gonna put this towards the end of this so that you can see it a little bit better. And I think I've got pretty good coverage. I don't even know if I sprinkled in some gold right now, if that would even help. Well, there's a little area there that I missed. Might work on that a little bit. There we go. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm gonna put this to the side and wait for some leftover resin to fill that in. I've even got it on my phone. Okay, so I've got a mess to clean up. I'm gonna scoop this up, stick it into a cup for some leftover clear resin, and I'll have an easy coloring for that. So the powder won't go to waste either, except for my hands. I'll probably wash those off. Anyway, so I'll see you guys in a bit when I come to remove the resin out of this mold. Later. Okay, so I got the second set of scales out, and I did have a little bit of the first one. So you can see how that is really monotone together. I was testing it out to see if it would shape around a curved item, so that's why it's curved like that. Anyway, but this one has some variations of color, and it's dark in the crevices, so it gives a little bit more of a realistic kind of a look to it. So that's what I'm gonna use. So what I'm thinking of is I still got the one coat of this guy, and I'm gonna put this on top of it so it'll have some definite dimension to it. So I'm going to cut this while it is super flexible, and I believe I'm right at the 18-hour mark since I poured it. So stuff gets a little bit on the tough side, and I just grabbed a cup that I use for doing resin with, and I'm gonna mark it out with a Sharpie and hopefully cut this sucker with this pair of scissors. I did pull this out a little bit later than I pulled the other one out, so I'm a little worried. All right, it is a little bit harder to cut than the other one was. I think I pulled the other one at a 16, and this one is probably pushing, it might be 19 or 20 hours. So hopefully you can tell by the amount of pressure I'm using that it does get to be a little challenging. And that's why 24 hours, it's really tough. And past that point, it's like, don't even think about it, really, unless you got some kind of drill. So I've got the nice little curve here. And here's the piece before, and if you notice, the red spread a little bit more, so it is really, I don't know, it's a lot more than I expected. So this way, I put this guy in here, I'll get a little dimension. In fact, I can even pull it back away from, I don't know, I'll have to figure out how I want to place that in. So it'll add a couple levels of resin on here, and I'm kind of liking that. Now I do want to show you this much. So we were exploring using resin as a possibility for maybe some costumes and stuff. My niece and his wife really are getting into that kind of thing, and I have to admit it's kind of fun. So this is using that same mold that I did, and this was the first one. And what I did is I shaped it around a can and taped it, and I just left it there for like a week. I always just give you an idea that this sucker is just not really moving. So if you let resin cure for another week or so, it really gets to that hard state. And this is that stone coat resin and just the art coat. So I'm really, really super happy with how well it's keeping. I could probably puncture skin if I really wanted to, and I don't really want to. But so I'll let you know there's other possibilities you can use with this stuff. So all right, I'll mix up some resin and get to playing with this and finish off this piece later. Okay, so I've got my pieces cut. I got a little bitty section here and then a bigger one here. So it's gonna add a couple different layers. This is gonna be one little heavy tray, but I think it'll look a lot better in the long run. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little bit of resin and set this into it and then pour some more on there. Manipulate, I think just one color, maybe two over it. I don't want it to overwhelm like the red did. So I gotta be mindful of that. And sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes it moves a lot more than you think it does. In fact, I just had a piece that did that just a little bit ago. But anyway, like Jeff says, sometimes you have a plan, sometimes resin has a plan, and it says, hold my beer. So, I don't think I did that quote quite right, but I think you get the point. Anyway, so I'm gonna throw some gloves on and let's get busy. All right, get these guys out and put them somewhere where there isn't any sticky resin. Right. Okay. Heating this up to get it so it'll thin out. One, it's a little bit colder here. Maybe I need a little more. Two, I want it to move a little easier so I can coat it. Now my boys just came home from college for the weekend. So don't be surprised if they walk in. All right, so I'm gonna go up on the sides just a little bit. All right, and that'll be good there. So. Trying to think as far as placement wise, put it here and then the little piece over here, and I think that might work. I should have come up with more of a plan when it was not wet. So I definitely want an edge showing here. I think that'll have a little bit more interesting effect with the layers. It doesn't have to match angle. There we go. Okay, I think that'll work. All right. And I think what I'm gonna do here is I think I'm gonna put my glitter on the bottom layer. I've got some leftover glitter from another project. And this is a great way to use it up if you want to add a little bit extra something, but not too much. I just wanted that to distribute a little bit, and that's why I hit it with the heat again. Okay, so pop that down. I'm gonna wiggle it, and I'm putting a little pressure on it just to make sure it's got good contact. Move it over so it doesn't have exactly a straight. I want it to be parallel lines. I do not mind it coming off from the edge just a little bit. Okay. And I'll probably have to tweak that out again. And this guy. And I'll probably need to nudge those back into place a little bit. In fact, I'm almost wondering if I should stop here, let it set up, and just keep moving it. I don't know. Nope, I'm risking it. It's probably stupid. But sometimes you just gotta take chances sometimes. Alright. Everything is nicely covered. Actually, putting the resin on top kind of helped it stay in place. Who would have thought? Okay. All right, let's see now what can I put on top of that. Just a little purple. Just a little swirling action, just a little bit. All right. All right, I got a tiny bit of white here. I'm hoping I can I'm stopping there. No, I'm not. I need a shock color. Somebody tell me when to stop. That. Okay, stopping. Now I got a pink stick for my white color here. Hello, Brian.
Hello there.
I'm doing a video. Uh-huh. Put it on the counter over there, please. Thank you.
What kind of video is this?
Better. Much better. Okay. So I think I'm going to designate this particular stick for my gold. This is some of that Montana gold. So it's really super shiny. And what I did is I just poured a little bit into this plate here so that way I could manipulate it and work it through. Okay, I'm liking the way that's looking. So running your stick through it multiple times, you start to get almost a feathery kind of look to it. All right, I'm gonna position that because it moved. All right, I think we are good. We tweak this just a little bit. Okay, and I've got to hit it with a little bit of air because there are some bubbles coming up. It is a little thicker than I would normally do. So I'm gonna have to come back in about an hour and then maybe 30 minutes and another 30 minutes and pop a few bubbles. But I think we can call it done. All right, let me bring you in for a close-up. Yay, the dragon scales tray is done. There's some bubbles there. I'm probably gonna get a toothpick along that edge. Let's see if I can get my finger in there, right there by the tip of my finger. And you can get a toothpick and stick it in there and kind of coax it up. But yeah. And that's gold sitting right there on the surface. So that's cool. Oh, there's a couple little bubbles there by the scales. Right in the corners. Oh, great. This is gonna be fun getting those out. Have to be patient. All right, guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, but hit the bell. Get notified next time I put a video up. Later.